Hi, my name is Jim Evans. I'm a husband, a father, and a 5-time cancer survivor. I was 12 years old when I was diagnosed with bone cancer. I was 13 years old when I was diagnosed with the same type of cancer, only in the lung. A year later, I was re-diagnosed with the same thing in the opposite lung on the right side. And then I was 55 years old when I was diagnosed with melanoma of my right eye. And at the same time, I was diagnosed with renal cell carcinoma of my kidney. When I was 12, I had a football accident in school and a motorcycle accident. It was a Sunday night. My knee didn't hurt, but it was swollen. My mom, being a nurse at the time, I showed her my knee and decided to take me into the emergency room. They did some x-rays, and long story short, they realized that there was a spot on the knee that wasn't supposed to be there. And 10 days after that, I was taken to the University of Michigan Medical Center. They looked at me, did new x-rays, and they realized that there was a malignant tumor there at the knee. And they had to amputate my leg. My mom and dad tried to get me to talk about the possibility of losing the leg. And me being very sports-minded and stuff, active, it's like, no, I'm not going to lose my leg. And finally, one night, a group of doctors came into the room. They talked to my mom and dad, and they told me that the leg had to be amputated at a certain level. And I not knowing what the word amputate meant, I said, okay, fine, as long as I can walk out of here. And that's when the doctor realized that I did not know what he was talking about. So he actually put it in layman's terms, we have to cut your leg off at this point. And I was like, no way, that's not going to happen. And they further explained to me that if they didn't do that, that eventually, sooner than later, the tumor or what was there would end up killing me. And with that, when they amputated the leg, they told my mom and dad it would be a 7% chance he's going to live 1 year. At the time when I lost the leg, I was in 6th grade, and my 6th grade teacher, he was avid in sports, and I kind of became like his adopted child in a way. And he organized some fundraisers. He had a golf outing, we had skate-a-thons, just a lot of things where the community pulled together, realizing at the time that health insurance wasn't paying for this stuff, and it wasn't going to be cheap. Without what the community did for me and for others like me, I'm not so sure that I would be here sitting talking with you today. So the first lung, there were 3 tumors, and it was in the lower lobe of the left lung. And they had to go in and remove the lower lobe, which left my breathing compromised because I didn't have full lung capacity. So they did that. I had tubes in the lung for about a week just to drain the blood and everything. They came in and pulled those out. And it was about a week later, I started with the chemotherapy regimen. It was a drug called Cytoxan, and every drug had a different side effect. Was on that for, I think, about 9 months, and they were still monitoring the lungs and everything, and it was a year later, a year from the date of the lung surgery on the left lung, that it came back in the right lung. Still the same lung surgery, but different medications getting used to different things, because they had found one drug that really worked, and it was called high-dose methotrexate. And with that drug, it took me 6 hours to receive it intravenously. And that one was so potent, so toxic, that they had to give me what was called a rescue factor right after I received the drug and every 6 hours. And if I didn't get the first 3 doses of this rescue factor, because the drug was so toxic, the drug itself would kill me. All I knew at the time was that I had to get so sick to try to get better. And the thing is with all this is, it also made me feel, I was the outsider. I was always outside looking in. I wanted to go out and do the things that my friends were doing, but it was the illusion or the belief that he's got cancer, he's got one leg, he's different, he's totally different. And I'm afraid that if I touch him, same thing's gonna happen to me.
Did you feel different, or was it just everyone around you who felt that you were different?
No, I felt different. I felt different. I did not feel normal. I had changed physically, and just my being had changed. Because with the chemotherapy too, I talk about side effects. The chemotherapy made all my hair fall out. So therefore that too, you know, here's a kid with one leg, young kid, and now he's white as a ghost because of the chemotherapy attacking the immune system. He has no hair. I mean, my mom and dad went out and got me a wig, and the hair, I was off the chemo and my hair started growing in underneath the wig. And at the time, the high school, when we lived up in Cadillac, they were having a Christmas play or a get-together. And I wanted to go to this thing so bad. I had my wooden leg, and, you know, I had my wig. I kind of felt normal and everything, but my hair was growing in, and my mom was getting upset. And she told me, she says, the only way you are going to go to that play tonight is if you don't wear your wig. And I'm like, I can't do that, because people, even though if other people knew that the wig was not me, I couldn't do that because it was still something that was different or changed about me. And I wanted to go to that play. So I decided I was going to go, and I didn't wear the wig. And I didn't know what to expect, but I was accepted. And it was such a good thing. I mean, people knew about my leg, but it was such a good thing that this wig that I was relying on to make me look normal, I didn't have to rely on it anymore. You know, people knew what was going on with me, and I felt, for the first time in a long time, I felt accepted. And that was huge to me. So when I was in my mid-20s, the wooden legs I had, it was falling apart. Nothing more they could do for it. So at that point, they decided to start from scratch. And starting from scratch meant going from the old technology into something I had never seen before. And then during the process, I couldn't figure out why they had taken a tracing of my left leg, because my left leg had nothing to do with the right leg. Well, come to find out what the tracing was for the foam cover that they put on over the componentry on my new leg, and they shaped it to make it look like the left leg, only being the right leg. And that was the first time at the age of probably 24, 25, that I actually felt normal again. And nobody ever looked like, oh, did you see that? They didn't know what was going on with me. I felt like everybody else again after all that time. And the thing was with it, after getting this, I realized that it was more to this than met the eye. And after my mom and dad encouraging me to get into the field at 16 or 18, because it would affect me for the rest of my life, now the light bulb went off where I want to learn how to do this stuff. It was like at that moment I realized I have a different path in life now to go down. This could be a career for me. So I started asking questions about it, and I found out that there were schools that taught this, and the closest one to me was in Minnesota. So I applied to it, and there was some stuff I had to do, but I was accepted into it. I asked the school when they called, I said, is there any way I can delay this by a few months? And they said, if you say no, your name goes down to the bottom of the list. And I'm like, oh, God, do I want to do this? And I had to give them an answer at that point. And I said, yes, I will take the spot. And lo and behold, go to school. I moved to Minnesota. And a month after I start, this girl starts. And she kind of caught my eye. And promised my mom when I left that there was going to be only educational purposes going on here. I would be back in a year. And met this girl and started talking to her and started dating. About 6 weeks after we started dating, we were engaged, and not even a year after that, we were married. And so I moved to Minnesota not only for my education, but for my future wife in life too. And it's just amazing how everything kind of gelled or fell together for me, you know. I mean, not only did I move away to learn what my future profession was going to be, but I found my best friend and my life partner in that mix too. So, yeah.
After we started dating, I asked Jim about losing his limb because we're taking a class on orthotics and prosthetics. I knew he had an artificial limb, and so he shared his cancer story with me very early on in the relationship, and it's kind of scary because you hear a lot of people lose their limbs in accidents and such, but cancer is kind of a word that's kind of scary. But I felt it was kind of reassuring knowing that he hadn't had cancer in years, and thought, well, he'll never get cancer again, was kind of my thought after going so many years without it. But they'll always say he's in remission.
When I was diagnosed, when I first went in to have the eye looked at, I wasn't seen by the specialist, but I was seen by somebody who really had a firm grip on what was going on. So she was pretty committed to say that she felt it was cancer. She actually said cancer. So when we came home, I'm close to both my kids, but my daughter has the kind of the softer spot with me. And I assured her, I said, I didn't let the first, second, or third round do anything. There's no way I'm going to let the fourth round do anything either. I said, my intention is to beat this thing.
And then we scheduled Jim's surgery to have his radiation
done on the eye.
And so after the radiation surgery, the doctor came out and said, surgery went great. Do you know who his family doctor is? I'm like, no. He says, well, you need to call him tomorrow and get Jim into the doctor as soon as possible. We found something on his kidney. I thought the doctor would tell him, you know, and now I get this kind of, hello, surprise, you get to tell him. And so the next morning, I'm like, you gotta call the doctor. So I said to Jim, I said, who's your family doctor? Why do we need to know that? I'm like, they found something on your scan.
And I was like, right away I was like, oh my God, it's not over yet. So went back in to have the surgery done for radiation, and now he knows that I know. And I told him, I says, I have an appointment for Monday morning to go in and talk to him. And, you know, with all my history there, she's like, and first time meeting this doctor, because I didn't see my family doctor, and she's like, well, we have a lot to do here. And I'm like, thinking to myself, when is it going to end? I got to the point where the University of Michigan, every time they called, it was a 40 extension number. I quit answering the phone because I would let it go to voicemail. I had control over that voicemail. And I will never forget this. It was a Wednesday night, it was after hours, and I'm thinking to myself, my phone rang and it was a 40 extension. And I'm thinking, I have no appointments coming up. What can this be? I'm gonna let it go to voicemail. At 7 o'clock at night, I listened to the voicemail, and it's my kidney doctor, and he's got the results to the MRI. So he won't give them to me over the phone, so I tried to call him back. Well, he's left the office. I had to wait till the following Monday to find out him to say It is a very early stage 1 kidney cancer. All we're going to do is surgery to remove the tumor and you are going to be fine. And if I had just taken a phone call, I could have let all that stress be alleviated. And when he said that, all we're going to do is surgery and you're going to be fine, I'm like, okay, you know, I could be at the end of it now. I could be at the end. And I mean, and at this point too, I think it was when we got back into the faith route too.
Yeah.
And which, I tell you what, you don't know how much that means until it happens. With the belief I have, it's like the final outcome doesn't come from the doctors or from me. That, I think, is what has been the biggest game changer in me, because I know that I'm here now, but I know that with what I do in my career and in my family, that I feel like, and for other people, I feel like I'm kind of leaving my mark, if you know what I'm saying. These things have not happened to me because I was a bad person. I don't know why they've happened to me, but the thing is with me being able to help other people out with the career that I've been put into, people I work with, I kind of tell them, sometimes you choose your career, but sometimes your career chooses you. And I feel like my career chose me. I love doing what I do. As for what I've gone through, I don't look at myself as having it bad. There are patients every day that come in to see us, and that's my reality check on. For what I've lost and for where they are, I don't have it bad at all. And as long as we can look at our cup as being half full, I have everything to gain and nothing to lose. You know, I don't know why I've been dealt this life in life, but only one person does, and I am just trying to live it the fullest I can and try to share my experience of what I've gone through with people that I know, people that I don't know, and above all, I do not want anybody to feel sorry for me. There's nothing to feel sorry for.